So here we are in the second section of this first part of the tutorial, where we're gonna make some shading, aka creating textures, materials, etc. So there will be three major parts, which are the creation of the wood texture for the platform and for the structure, the material for the paper part, or this papery, how could you say it, cube, and for the candle, and then render everything and take a look or see how it does look. So let's get started. First of all, I'm gonna switch my workspace to compositing, and I'm gonna select my platform here, which doesn't have any material, so I'm gonna create a new one and call it wood platform. So here it is, and it's gonna be a principled BSDF. I'm having the non-triangular add-on enabled, and I'm gonna also enable my screencast keys so you can see which keys I'm pressing. So just enable the node Wrangler add-on so you can have the same shortcuts as me. Now I'm gonna press Ctrl T, so we have a texture or image texture set up with a mapping node and the texture coordinates ready. So we need for the platform material texture, a wood texture, and my main sources for the textures are Poliigon or textures.com. They provide really high quality textures, so you can use them and just search for a for the wood quality you need. So let's open up my the textures I've already downloaded. So these ones are from Poliigon, so you can grab them here. It's a wood planks. It's a free texture, so you can get it for free. And now I'm gonna go to this view and Shift Z there, so we can take a look at how does our material look. So first, what I'm gonna do now is go to the word tab, and here we're gonna have RGB, and what I'm gonna choose is environment texture and load in an HDRI. So the HDRI is loaded in. You can grab some HDRIs from HDRI Heaven, and they are completely free, so you can use them. And for now I choose a dusky scene, so it's really close to what we want to achieve. And now I can work my material out. So I'm gonna move these ones here and then there. Okay, so I've loaded in the diffuse texture. Now I need all the other textures, which obviously are non-color data. We have the glossiness, the normal map, and here we're gonna have the specular or reflection map. So I'm gonna move everything there, and this one's here. Okay, so this is the reflection map, so we're gonna plug it to the specular. I'm gonna plug in the normal map here, so we feed our normal texture here, and then we plug it there. So what does it do? It actually creates a bumpy effect. So if we choose to use the UV map, the fact that we unwrapped already our objects makes the textures apply correctly, so we don't need to do much or more tweaking, so it does work. And if I get it really high, you can see this bumpy effect that we have. So I'm gonna let it at 1. And next, and which is the most tricky, not tricky but subtle part, is the glossiness map. So just feed the picture maps. So the glossiness map here we have is the inverse of the roughness map. So what we need to do, as you can see here, our wood is too much reflective. It can be correct since it's wet, but what we're gonna do is invert it, or maybe not invert it, but use a color ramp here, and we're gonna plug it there. So here we have our color ramp there. Now what we're gonna do quickly is invert it. So now we can see that our wood is not that reflective, but we need to tweak a little bit texture so we have this wetty effect that we had previously. So I'm gonna Control Shift click on this one here, so I can see what's the output of the node, and then I'm gonna play with it a little bit so that I can have some, as you can see, the more it's here, so we can have this sort of black parts that gonna be fully reflective, if I could say. And now let's see how it does look. Okay, it's good. I'm just switch, I think, to GPU. It's GPU computing. As you can see, we have some pretty cool reflections there. So I'm gonna adjust a little bit the size or of the platform. Actually, I'm aiming for like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, for like 10 wood planks. As it is as they are pretty small wood planks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Maybe take it a little bit less, 1.3. Yeah, 1.2. Yeah, 1.2. Maybe 2. Yeah, well, I think it's gonna be fine. Oh. I was tricking yes. Actually, I just want to place every wood plank as it should. So here we're like for 11 wood planks or so, but it's okay since we're not gonna actually see all of the details because the object is pretty small. So I think it's fairly enough. So I'm gonna save my project, and next what I'm gonna do is work on the structure, or the wood structure, and I'm gonna start from the wood platform here and press on these two little two, so the material is a unique one. And now what I'm gonna do is wood structure, and if we zoom in we can see that our objects are pretty well enwrapped, but we don't want to see this plank effect. As you can see here, we are see the gap between each plank in the texture, and we don't want that. So I'm gonna use another texture that I've got actually from CG Texture, which is this one here. You can get the reference if you want to. And this one here is actually a simple wood texture, so there is nothing to it. And then finally the normal map. So this texture here actually does not have a reflection map, so the specular here we have to tweak it on our own. So I'm gonna play with it a little bit, something like this. And we have a roughness map and not a glossiness one, so we don't need this color ramp, or even if we need it, it would be just to make some details appearing. I think we should go really, since the image is really bright, as you can see here, pretty much white. I'm gonna delete this one here as we don't need it anymore. We're gonna play with this one here. There you go. So we can see some of the details of the map, and I think it's fairly enough, because actually this is such a small detail. We will never, I think, be able to see all of the details in our rendered view. So let's not waste some time on it. Also, I don't like the color of the wood platform, so I'm gonna add a hue saturation map here and add a little bit of saturation, so we match a little bit, so we match more our structure here, and I think it's better. Okay, so here we are. It's actually done for these two materials. Next, what we're gonna do, and it's the I think the trickiest part, or the most difficult part in this tutorial, which is the paper effect. And for that, we're gonna create our own texture using a GIMP. So here we are in GIMP, and let's get started. So I'm gonna go File, New, and create my and choose a texture size, and I'm gonna pick 1024. Okay, so here it is. And next, go to Filters, Render, Noise, Solid Noise. And now I'm gonna check tileable. So if we wanted to change the scale, the texture scale also in Blender, we would be able to do that. And we can play also with the random seed. So I'm gonna choose the default settings. Can play also with the size. I'm gonna go like for, I don't know, 6. Or maybe, I think it, yeah, I think 6.5 or 6.5 is pretty much good. Okay. And next, go to colors, levels, and let's play with some levels. So here we go. What I want is pretty much to have this clear separation between the noise and the white areas, so we actually have the impression that once applied as a texture, we have the impression that the white areas are clean parts of the paper, and the black areas, gray areas, etc. are somehow like areas that were in contact with dirty water or so. So it's not like clean white paper. So now what I can do also is I'm gonna duplicate the layer and then go to Filters, Render, Noise, Filter, Noise, Render, Noise, and then choose Solid Noise. Change the seed and add a whole bunch of details, like 3, and then I'm gonna just mix it with it. Maybe go for like 4, multiply, and here it is. So we have a little more details in our noise. And next, I'm gonna merge down and then go to Filters, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and just a little bit. I think 8.9 or 9. It's 5. It's fine. Sorry. Okay, and then I'm gonna save my image. So here we are back to Blender, and I'm gonna select the paper part here, and then create a new material, and let's call it paper simply. I'm gonna create a principled PSDF and connect it there. And what we're gonna do is mix this one here mix this principled BSDF with a translucent BSDF. And what we're gonna do here is use an add shader here and connect these two here. Okay, it's fine for now. I think, and as you can see already, also I forget to tell you, but in my candle I just added a simple emission shader, and I'm gonna put it like 20 and take a look at how it looks. So we have this pretty nice translucent effect, and I'm gonna make a Control T. So we have this texture set up. Then I'm gonna open my texture. Open. So let's Control Shift click on the texture so we can see how it does look like. And as you can see, we have this effect here, cloudy effect, that resembles on supplied to a to stains on paper. So if we take a look at the principled BSDF, we can see how it does look like. And now what I'm gonna add is a color ramp to colorize actually these black things. So I'm gonna click on black and take it a little bit higher and go for a brownish color. And for the whites, we're gonna leave them as whites. See the add shader, and as you can see here, we have this some, I could say, surface imperfections. We can take this a little bit higher. And I think it's looking pretty much good. What we can do also is add some reflections for the paper, by reducing the glossiness and adding some specular. I think it's alright. Maybe add a little bit of subsurface scattering, so we have all of these nice colors blending, etc. And we are pretty much done. Nothing really fancy or too complicated. Really easy to set up. And what I'm gonna do is do a test render and see how it does look like actually. So here is the render result, and as you can see, the object looks really cool. We have this wood texture that is pretty gorgeous, with all the reflections and the watery glossy effect. What we can do also is something and I just thought of it once the render was complete, is maybe what we can do here is add a linear gradient at the bottom of the paper, because we suppose that water, when water goes up on the platform, it maybe also touches the bottom of the paper. So I'm gonna add a gradient really quickly, a gradient texture, and we can easily see how it does look like. And we're gonna add a mapping node, as this one here is independent of this one. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is just simply connect the generated part here to this one here, so he knows how to treat the texture coordinates, and then switch back to texture and rotate it on the Z axis 90 degrees. And as you can see here, we have this gradient effect going from the bottom of the paper. And what we can do now is use a color ramp. I use a lot the color ramp, as it's, I think, a really useful node. And we can move a little bit this blacky part, or black part, and we can choose like B-spline or so we have a much better yeah, B-spline, I think it's the best, or ease also, it's good. B-spline, I think I'm gonna go with B-spline. So we have this effect here, and really quickly we can mix it with a noise texture here. Mix RGB really quickly. Something like this one here, and maybe I'm gonna just take the factor and multiply it. So we don't have this. I'm gonna again use a color ramp just to create a bigger contrast. And as you can see here, we don't have this like linear edges. And next, what I'm gonna do is subtract all of this. I'm now gonna add an invert node. So here goes, and then add it there. And as you can see, we've deleted pretty much the noise. Don't need to go too much into details or so, but we have pretty much our basic idea. And now what we're gonna do, I'm gonna just make some space here, and the idea is to mix. I'm gonna take all of these things here, move them there, and do a mix RGB again, and mix these two end results. Trying to find a nice blend between the two. Yeah. Over these. I'll go for multiply. And here we have it. We blended our two textures, and now we can take a look at the result of the blending. Maybe no, I'm not put it like that. Choose B-spline, linear. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with cardinal, and then take a look at the end result. I think it's pretty much cool. I'm just experimenting, but actually we can do we can do a lot of things. We can do a lot of things. You just need to play with the textures, etc. And here I use the NAD shader, but what you can do also is use a mix shader, which will give you more tweaking ability, so you can play with the factor here. And as you can see, if I plug this one here, you can see that we have really I think, if I could say, messy parts and some reflective parts, and you can play with that and try to find some good settings that fit your needs. Actually, we can make this a little bit brighter, and that's okay. I think we can go with something like this. I think it's looking good. Also, the lamp intensity is not that much. I put it to 20. If we put it to 50 or so, we can see more details, and so on and so forth. So in my opinion, the trash here, or the dirt, is too much visible. I like the subtle effect on the previous one, but this depends on your objectives. So I'm not take it a little bit. Yes. Okay, so I'm gonna stick with this here, I think our node tree is not that complicated. It's pretty much easy and straightforward. So you can continue to play. I'm gonna do a test render with this one here, and I'm pretty much satisfied with the end result, except for the bottom part. I think I don't like it. I found it too much, it's too dirty, if I could say. So I think I'm gonna revert this change here, or tweak a little bit the settings so it's less visible. So I think we've covered pretty much that had to be covered in this second section of the first part. The next time we're gonna make some water lilies and some grasses. So see you in the next video.